This lecture covers a contemporary deterrence theory. It seeks to enhance the classical deterrence theory written by Beccaria and Bentham. Now, if you recall from the previous lecture, we find some problems with deterrence. Severity has no effect on deterrence. In fact, the more severe the punishment, the more likely the person is to recidivate. Celerity also has no effect on deterrence. It has no effect on recidivism. And certainty actually impacts those individuals who are already law abiding. They are more likely to think that they will certainly be punished and their punishment will be severe. So Stafford and Warr wrote the theory called reconceptualizing deterrence theory because they argued that the reason why we find problems with the certainty, celerity, and severity of punishment and its relationship to deterrence is that our definition of deterrence is flawed. They argue that people have a mixture of experiences with punishment. Some people are punished for crimes committed. Some people avoid punishment for crimes committed. Some people are aware of others who've been punished for crimes. And they are also aware of others who avoid punishment for crimes that they've committed. And so they argue then that avoidance of punishment can actually affect the perceptions of certainty and severity. Therefore, deterrence must be redefined. So they redefine deterrence to include direct experiences with punishment, indirect experiences with punishment. This is the classical deterrence, right? Direct experience with punishment is specific deterrence. Indirect experiences with punishment is general deterrence. And they add direct experiences with punishment avoidance and indirect experiences with punishment avoidance. So studies began to assess this reconceptualization of deterrence. Because this reconceptualization of deterrence theory, studies of deterrence then assess 4 different factors. 1, has an individual been punished for a crime that they've committed? Are they aware of others who've been punished? Have they avoided punishment for crimes they've committed? And are they aware of others who've avoided punishment for their crimes? Studies have shown strong support for the gambler's fallacy and little to no support of Stafford and Warr's reconceptualization. This is the gambler's fallacy. I don't know how many of you gamble, but let's say you're playing the roulette table and you're losing. The idea you're going to have in your head is that I can't keep losing all night. At some point, I'm going to have to win, right? The streak of losing can't be forever. If you're winning and you have a nice streak of winning, you're also going to think to yourself, I can't be winning forever. This streak of winning is going to come to an end. And that is how offenders think. That if they continue to get punished, they're eventually going to say to themselves, I can't be punished all the time. I can't get caught every single time. There has to be a time when I am not caught. And then you have the person who's never been caught. That person is thinking, crap, it's likely I'm going to get caught. The streak can't be this good for that long. That's the gambler's fallacy. So direct experiences with punishment. So the more often you're punished, the decrease in the perception of certainty of punishment. So I've been punished and punished and punished. I'm not going to get caught this time. The streak can't continue. Therefore, the more often an individual is punished, so the more direct experiences they have, the more likely they're going to offend again. An individual is more likely to perceive certainty of apprehension when others have been apprehended. In other words, you are more likely to think you are going to get caught for a crime if your friend got caught. This is troubling, obviously, for the criminal justice system, because what this tells us is that we should be punishing individuals' friends because then they're less likely to do it, because they are more likely to think they will get punished as well. But if we continue to punish the individual, they are more likely to do it because they're eventually going to think that this streak of punishment must come to an end. So that's really problematic for criminologists and for the criminal justice system. Okay, we can't punish everyone's friends and never punish the other offender. So when are punishments then most effective? And this is what we find. Punishments are most effective on those who are strongly committed to conformity. So if you are someone who is already committed to conformity, punishment will work on you. If you are someone who has high levels of self-control, punishment is likely to deter you from committing subsequent crimes. If you are an individual who has strong bonds to conventional society, if you're someone who has a good job, if you're close to your family, punishment is likely to work for you. If you already have beliefs that crime is wrong, punishment is going to deter you from committing subsequent offending. If you feel that the punishment was fair, if you feel that the punishment was respectful, then punishment is more likely to prevent you from recidivating. If you feel that you were forgiven, or at least an effort was made to forgive you for the crime that you committed, punishment is more likely to deter. So what we can conclude here is that certainty, severity, and celerity of punishment are less effective in deterring subsequent offending than how we process someone through the system. So that if we process them fairly, respectfully, and attempt to forgive them, that will have a greater impact on recidivism rates than certainty, severity, and celerity of punishment. If we ensure that individuals have stakes in conformity, believe in the laws, have high self-control, if they're committed to conformity, then punishment is likely to deter. The more severe the punishment, the less likely it will deter subsequent offending. Swiftness of punishment has no relation to subsequent offending. Certainty of punishment will deter when a person's friend is punished. I know it sounds silly, but that's what we know. So that is Stafford and Moore's reconceptualization of deterrence.